Hello and welcome to another episode of Andy and Iain Talk Networking, or a Brit and a Scot Talk Networking, or just two old gits talk networking, whichever way you want to view it, really. So, Iain, this week, obviously, last week we talked a little bit about financial services, the application
Yes.
and use cases that those particular verticals are using. So this week, I want to kind of expand on that. Let's talk a little bit about medical and healthcare. Now, as a Brit,
Right.
as are you, to us, medical and healthcare means you call the NHS and in 6 months' time you get some kind of an appointment. A year after that, you get another one. But when you look at a lot of the rest of the world where they have private medical insurance, obviously it's a different structure, but also they have different demands and different requirements when you look at the whole kind of hospitals and the way it's all connected. So, as somebody who doesn't know it too well, but somebody who now lives in the US, let's talk a little bit about how the medical healthcare and network observability now kind of have demands and what those requirements are.
Well, I mean, as you say, there's lots of different rules and regulations. Compliance might be the big word that folks like to use. And yeah, the rules and regulations and the structure of the healthcare industry probably is rather different country to country. However, the thing that does remain the same is the need to protect healthcare records. And that's a
Mm-hmm.
huge area, in terms of things getting leaked and hacked and all of that stuff. And there are lots of specific rules here. In the US, obviously, we have things like HIPAA as one example, but there are
HIPAA.
many
Yep.
others on a global basis where folks need to protect their data. Particularly when it is beyond sensitive, really,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of when things are maybe not always going as well as we would want them to go and things like that. So certainly the ability to have on these large networks,
Yeah.
even in the UK with its many different healthcare trusts,
Yeah.
or maybe in Singapore with the nationalized healthcare system, etc., Australia, the US, Canada, there's lots of different structures, but they're
Yeah.
usually large networks.
Yeah.
They're
Very
usually
large. Yeah.
trying to bring together doctors and smaller
Specialists
facilities,
and yeah.
yeah, into the hospitals. So you've got to effectively have an understanding of security, maybe understanding the TLS certificates and the ciphers that are being
Yeah.
used. And hey, why can't I could connect yesterday, but I can't connect today? Oh yeah, I am using an older laptop. What does that mean? What's that problem?
Yeah.
And actually trying to spot some of these issues because it is so vital
Yeah.
that they are
And there's
they are
tens of
protected.
thousands of devices. I mean, the other thing is that
Yeah,
if you look at a modern hospital, some of our customers with their kind of newer modern hospital, everything's connected. Every
yes.
single device, every pressure pump, every blood pump, everything is connected to the network and providing constant data into that network. So, plugging an old device in there that, is running a TLS 1.0 kind of old legacy security mechanism, you're just opening the entire network up to being hacked and attacked. So, having
Yeah.
that ability within your observability suite to see everything that connects to, not necessarily decrypt the data, but see all of those negotiations, all of those handshakes, see what cipher keys are used, see what protocols are being used, see what SSL certificate, whether like they expired. Having that level of insight to what's going on is key for these kind of modern networks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A couple of others, really more in terms of kind of connectivity. Obviously, certainly here in the States, I'm sure this is relevant in other places, that the connectivity from the hospital or all
Mm-hmm.
these different locations needs to be kind of redundant. So you
Yes,
have
yeah,
connection going this side and this side, etc.
on different
And
networks and yeah,
you've got to be able to know you're legally mandated to have these connections up and going. So you have that resiliency. You can't just, well, it's just an accident. Oh, we'll get another connection. No,
yeah,
these need to be very much established. And
yeah.
similarly, within the network, you have risks from, lateral movement.
Mm-hmm.
Let's use these kind of more security type words. You've got to be able to spot what's going on, and that is also a huge vital part of any infrastructure. So you've got the ability to to protect the medical IoT systems. You've got the ability for people visiting hospitals to have
Yep.
access to their phones or whatever, so that they can, talk to the family or whatever it might be. And lots of really important little sections. And then the last one, which we haven't had much of a chance to talk about, is actually the capture, is the
Yep.
capture of data. Now, once again, as soon as I say that, people in the healthcare are going to have
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
little ears will
Yep.
perk up, right? You've got to have a vendor. You've got to be working with a vendor that's going to do the right amount of slicing of the packet data often,
Yep.
to make sure that those bits of
Sensitive. Yeah.
MRIs
Yeah.
and sensitive data, etc., goes away. Even if, hey, it's encrypted, it's this, it's that, no one wants to take that risk.
No.
So as long as you're able to have that, so when you're capturing the data, you're looking at the health of the connections, you're looking at it's not really A side, B side, but kind of
Yep.
you're looking at both sides of the connectivity. You've got to have that ability to have long-term storage of some of these connections,
Metrics. Yeah.
etc.,
Yeah.
and the metrics. Once again, all driving the observability story, not only in
Yeah.
the compliance, not only in the kind of the health of the connections, not only in looking at some of that kind of medical IoT, or at least getting the packet data to the tools that are validating all of these things. It's a really
Yeah.
the world of healthcare, not only from the healthcare side, is complicated these days, but also in terms of the infrastructure required to
Yeah.
support it. You know, if I am getting a scan for some kind of reason, I need to be able to send, or that data needs to be able to be sent to my doctor, needs to be sent to the specialist
Yeah.
very, very efficiently.
Yeah.
And
And we're not
you know,
talking small amounts of data, and that's the other thing
no,
is,
no,
you know,
enormous
we
files,
talk, in
enormous.
networking a lot of times we have gigabit, 10 gigabit, 100, whatever. An MRI scan can be terabytes of data. You can't be sitting around for 30 minutes while that copies from one location to another. So these networks are 400 gig moving to 800 gig. They're massive in their connectivity and their speed. So
Yes.
microbursts become a major problem. When you have this situation where you're suddenly utilizing more capacity than there is. Your hop by hop latency could be
Yeah.
a massive impact to identify network problems or to optimize the efficiency of the network. There are lots of lateral movement you talked about. There are lots of different problems that these networks have that you need to be able to identify and to manage a lot of the time. And also, let's be honest, hospitals are a prime vector for attacks like denial of service and things like that. They're easy targets to a certain extent. I mean, the NHS has been attacked so many times now, we kind of lose track of it. But that's because it is one very large organization with tens of thousands of attack vectors. So it's very easy to get a ransomware attack and things like that. So having that insight to what's going on within a full suite of observability tools is key to keeping that entire network operational.
I couldn't agree with you more, Andy. Certainly, healthcare, it's a vital area. If there's folks watching this who are in that, broadly speaking, healthcare environment in whatever country, certainly cPacket are there to support you. We know how critical it is for
Yeah,
the
national
country or for the
infrastructure. Yeah,
organization. The point is that, it kind of makes my blood boil a little bit when I hear about
yeah,
those kind of attacks in the NHS or wherever it might be. As I say, shouldn't be trying to see these things at a personal level, but certainly it's very frustrating.
yeah,
And if there's a way that cPacket can help you, please reach out. We'd love to connect up and provide you the data, the evidence, the information to build that
yeah.
observability story for your vital, vital, vital network.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think that's a good place to end. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate your time as always and your insights. So again, as always, I would just like to invite everybody to like and subscribe down below. Again, if you've got any comments, questions, or you want to reach out to Ian or myself, we're available on LinkedIn. You can easily find us, search for either cPacket or Ian or myself, and we will happy to engage with you and have a conversation as needed. So again, thank you for watching. I have been Andy,
I've been Ian.
and we'll see you again next time.
Bye for now.